brought my glasses to be with Harry, but he switched on me, so. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with the Senate Democratic leader, to see him being so fit. We come together because we're faced with a challenge for our country, a challenge to honor our oath of office, which we all take to protect and defend the American people. And now we've had this comedy of errors that has been going on, this major amateur hour in non-legislation that is standing in the way of our honoring our oath of office. But as we have the debate on it, it's important to recognize what it means to people. Harry, you remember when we established the Department of Homeland Security and the Committee on Homeland Security. It was controversial, and I don't think we still have it exactly right, but nonetheless, the title, Homeland Security, was the source of great debate. But it has the word home in it, and this is what it means to people in their homes. A shutdown will block $340 million in staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grants. You know it as the SAFER grants. Critical funding for local communities used to help fire departments increase the number of frontline firefighters. It means that the Urban Area Security Initiative, a shutdown will block $600 million in the Urban Area Security Initiative that support the preparedness of nearly 40 high-threat communities across the country. FEMA and disaster preparedness grants. Think of this. Under the Republican Department of Homeland Security shutdown, 3,260 FEMA employees will be furloughed. Furloughed means stay home and you don't get paid. Do not, under any circumstances, come to work. Critical disaster preparedness grants will be blocked. Local jurisdictions, for example, in Massachusetts, which has been inundated with snow, local jurisdictions will be denied the disaster assistance grants they need to deal with the snow. A DHS shutdown will, in terms of Secret Service, will prevent new hires, vital training, and upgrades across the Secret Service's protective activities, not only to protect President Obama, but to prepare for the upcoming presidential elections. Under the Republican shutdown, 30,000 DHS employees will be furloughed. Another nearly 170,000 DHS employees will, made up primarily of frontline security personnel, will have to come to work without pay. There's nearly 200,000 employees that will either be furloughed or asked to work without pay. I don't know about you, but I think almost everybody I know cannot live without having a paycheck on time. Members of Congress even, and yet they're asking this Department of Homeland Security people to do that. And that nearly 170,000 of DH employees, 40,000 are Border Patrol, 50,000 TSA, 13,000 ICE, 40,000 active duty Coast Guard, more than 4,000 Secret Service law enforcement agents. All of these people asked to come to work without pay. As we all know, many of these, practically all of them, depend on their biweekly paychecks, and the lack of pay can cause real hardship, wouldn't it, for you and your family, including the ability to pay your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, whatever it happens to be. So let's just get down to passing a clean bill to the end of September. The gamemanship should end. The Texas case, the court, as I disagree with the court decision, gave them a face-saving way to just end this. Now, Harry and I agreed that Peter King will probably be the most quoted man in America in the next few hours when he said, Peter King, the Republican member of Congress from New York, he said, "We cannot allow DHS not to be funded. People think we're crazy. There are terrorist attacks all over the world, and we're talking about closing down Homeland Security." Peter King, Republican of New York, then said, "This is like living in the world of the crazy people." I associate myself with the remarks of the gentleman from New York. With that, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished Democratic leader of the Senate, Mr. Reid.
So good to be with you always. We've been in some battles over the years, so security, wars, and all that, so I'm happy to be here with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Reid.
We're here, the funding for the Department of Homeland Security runs out, is gone, Friday at 12:01 a.m., so I guess it'll be Saturday at 12:01 a.m. It's over with. If it shuts down, Leader Pelosi has outlined in detail how it hurts. But the one thing that it makes sure that everyone understands, not only does it drastically affect those men and women who work so hard, but it affects our homeland. In New York yesterday, they picked up 3 guys who were just leaving to join ISIS. It's in the mind of every American that you see these people in cages they've captured, and now they spent 22 minutes burning one of them to death that everyone has seen. Picked up 21 Christians in Syria the day before yesterday. We know that they're likely to be beheaded. American people are frightened, and rightfully so. ISIS appears to have money. Terrorists appear to have money. Why shouldn't our homeland have the ability to protect itself? This is like living in a world of crazy people. That's what King said, and that is absolutely true. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands where we are here in the Senate. We're going to have a vote on making sure that Homeland Security does not shut down. We're ready to vote on that right now. It's been held up by the Republicans, but I'm sure that'll clear because they can only hold it up for a short period of time. We've had all kinds of rumors that the House is going to take our fully funded bill and send it back with a number of riders on it. It is a waste of time. We will not allow a conference to take place. It won't happen. And we're willing to go to Homeland, when we finish fully funding Homeland Security, if the Republicans want to go to immigration, any part thereof, we'll go to them. They won't need a motion to proceed, we'll just do it. But that's where we are today. And I think that we must accept the fact that this is I don't know if it's crazy people, it's like an 8th grade civics class. I mean, what is going on in the House? We have the 2 leaders who haven't talked to each other in 2 weeks. This is not a very good situation, and we're not going to be part of their petty games. We want the Department of Homeland Security, for all the reasons Leader Pelosi has outlined and more, to be fully funded.
Senator Reid, so if the House sends over an amended bill with riders, does the department shut down in your view?
If they send over a bill with all the riders in it, they've shut down the government. We are not going to play games. We've been working for a month to come up with a clear funding proposal the President can sign. So they can put all the riders on it they want. We will not allow that to take place.
You accept a short-term CR?
Well, Manu, I'm not going to be here playing all these hypothetical games. Let the House act. The rules are very clear, what rights they have, what rights we have. They have to do what I think is the right thing to do, and that is to fund the government. I was happy to see Chairman Rogers, head of the Appropriations Committee, said he believes there should be full funding. There's a score or more that have publicly spoken out, that Republicans, that it should be fully funded. So I'm not going to get into all these hypotheticals. What if they send us a 2-day CR? What if they send us all these riders? We are where we are. Here in the Senate, we will vote on fully funding Homeland Security. We're not going to allow conferences to take place. And if they want to debate immigration when this is all over with, we're happy to do it.
As Speaker Boehner asked you for Democratic votes, have you had any conversations with him or Republican leaders in the House?
I've had brief conversations with him on the subject, Wednesday probably most recently, where I said we are not prepared to do 2-month CR. I agree with the leader. We can't get involved in 5 days, 7 days, and all of that nonsense. Let's just get the job done on time, because this is all about time. It's about the time that they kick the can down the road from December. In December, instead of making this part compromise bill for funding the government, they said we're separating this out. In that time, and the Speaker said at the time, don't worry about this, we're going to pass it in January. That's what he said at the time. In that time, in January, we had Je suis Charlie. The whole world was galvanized around the issue of homeland security in each of their homelands, except in the hermetically sealed House of Representatives chamber. We still haven't faced our responsibility. And so I would say, Harry, with all due respect to everything you said, I have a grandson in 8th grade, and his knowledge about how to pass a bill is superior to what we see among the Republicans there. So it's harmful to our national security, our homeland security, for us to be inching along, whether it's 2 months, 4 months. Stop the games playing. Let's just get serious. We're only talking now about like 8 months we've lost some of the time. The uncertainty is really bad. If you want to build a firehouse, if you want to train a workforce to protect the American people, we are already weakening that because of the time that the Republicans have used up with their frivolity. It's about time for them to grow up and pass this bill.
Madam Leader, there are conservatives in the House who say they can still win this immigration fight, who say they're more optimistic about winning this funding fight than they were about winning the ACA fight in 2013. I'm wondering what both of your responses to that.
Nothing. I mean, you'll have to talk to them about that. I think what they're demonstrating, though, is that immigration was not the reason they're shutting down government. It was the excuse they were using, because now they have an out from what the judge said in Texas, and now they still want to shut down government. So understand, shutting down government is their motive, and that's what they have to be held accountable for.
Now, I lost track, but I'm sure you know, I think they voted to defund Obamacare 57 times, so maybe we have 56 more times left on immigration.
Senator Reid, the DHS funding is taken care of. Do you think there'll be enough votes to get onto this Collins bill reversing the 2014 order?
I've said here, make sure that you all understand this. The President signs Homeland Security, fully funds Homeland Security, it doesn't shut down. We don't need 60 votes. We'll go to it. We relish a debate on immigration, but it has to be after we fully fund Homeland Security.
And how would you want to amend that bill if you were on it?
Let's see what bill they bring up. If it's Collins, we got a lot. Senator Durbin yesterday said we'd have 2 or 3 weeks of work on that bill. It'd be longer than the Keystone Pipeline.
Madam Leader, just to clarify, you won't give Speaker Boehner cover for a temporary CR, 2 weeks, 2 months? Is that my understanding?
It's not a question of giving him cover. We're trying to give cover to the American people so that our homeland is protected. It's not the cover for the Speaker is very much less important than the cover that the American people need from us to do our job and to pass a Homeland Security bill. But getting back to the immigration point for a moment, understand this, and you probably know this, but just to review. The President of the United States acted with full legal authority under the law and with precedent and with the ability for prosecutorial discretion to protect the people that he did. President Ronald Reagan, President George Herbert Walker Bush, President Bill Clinton, President George W. Bush, all acted, and presidents before them, President Eisenhower, President Nixon. I'm just trying to go into your lifetimes here. Reagan, the president said, if you don't like what I've done, act. Pass an immigration bill, a comprehensive immigration bill, and then we can have that debate. But they didn't. And they're now saying the president is acting in a way that they object to, they say unconstitutional. But they never said that about Ronald Reagan. And while our president is saying pass a bill, President Reagan, the Congress passed a bill. And President Reagan said, you did not go far enough to protect people. So he had his family fairness, the family protection piece that he added that President George Herbert Walker Bush then followed through with and protected a higher percentage of people in our immigrants in our country than President Obama has done with his actions. And I think one of the strongest presidents we've had in his advocacy for immigration reform has been President George W. Bush. They never had a complaint except for this president. And so it rings hollow when they talk about the Constitution, when with presidential precedent and the law of the land, our president has acted within his legal authority. So as I say, it's
one more
really an
one more
excuse,
question
not
here.
a reason.
Leader Reid, and Leader Pelosi as well, if there's this much trouble on what is important, but is frankly a very small portion of the federal government, how is everything going to go when it gets to be a debt ceiling, September 30th, when you have a whole fiscal year, everything else, if there's this much trouble with just...
You should write a story about that. I'm interested what you would think. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Madam Leader, would